Hello, welcome. So, if you like to come to lie down to begin with, and just take a moment to lie and allow yourself to receive the support of the ground. Feel your legs heavy on the ground, your buttocks, your back, your shoulders, your head. And can you find ease just like that? Can you find the support of the earth below you? Can you allow your body just to settle? And maybe scan from the top all the way down to the toes, easing, accepting what's there now. And just maybe inviting any areas that maybe feel a little tense or somewhere else, inviting them to relax here on the mat. You're welcoming your toes and your heels and your feet, welcoming your legs and your hips and your buttocks and your pelvis, welcoming your abdomen and your chest, your arms, your elbows, your fingers, your shoulders, your neck and your head. All of your face, and you feel your eyes just relaxing into their sockets. And then becoming aware of the top of your spine and just tracking down the length of the spine through the neck, through the chest, feeling the attachments of all the ribs, through the middle of the back, through to the sacrum and to the hips, all the way down to the coccyx. And then just be aware of the air on the exposed parts of your skin. And just setting your intention for the next little while, we're just going to practice a little bit of yoga for about an hour, 50 minutes to an hour. And then getting ready to get that movement into the body. I'll bring the arms in, and you're just going to stretch to the right arm, and you stretch from the right arm to the right toe. And then as you breathe out, just allow that arm to come back down. And we might go to the left side as you breathe in. Stretching the left side of the body. Excuse me, I have to move down on my mat. As you breathe out, lowering down. And again, right side. And lower down. If your elbow needs to bend as you bring the arm back, that's fine. Left side. And then both arms with your breath. Stretch and making that body lovely and long. And then as you breathe out, just lowering those arms. And then bending both knees. And as you breathe out, bring your right knee in over the tummy and take hold of the right knee and draw it closely to the belly. On your next breath in, stretch out to the left leg by just sliding the heel out. The heel remains on the ground. And as you breathe out, lift the chest, neck and head if that suits your body. And then lower the chest, neck and head. Release the right leg. Stretch out to the right leg. Aware of the difference from side to side. Bend both knees. Bring the left knee in over the tummy. Take hold of the left knee with both hands. As you breathe in, stretch out to the right leg. The toes and both feet up to the ceiling if that feels good. And then as you breathe out, draw the navel back, lift the chest. And lowering back down and releasing that leg, stretching out. We're going to do that again. So bending both knees. As you breathe out, bring the right knee in over the tummy, take hold of the right knee. As you breathe in, stretch through the left. When you're ready to breathe out, lift the chest, neck and head. Keep the shoulders as relaxed as they can be. Breathing in, lower the head, release the right leg, stretch out. Slide both heels in, bring the left knee in over the tummy as you breathe out. Draw that left knee closely to the tummy. And as you breathe in, stretch to the right leg. As you breathe out, lift the chest, neck and head. If that suits your body, if it doesn't today, don't. Breathing in, lower the chest. Stretch out to the left leg. And then one more time, side to side, just breathing in, bring the right knee in, take hold of the right knee, stretch that knee down or draw that knee down. And stretch out to the left leg, toes and both feet up to the ceiling. And lift the chest, neck and head, and just breathe here for a few moments. Can you keep it so that the shoulders are easy there? Yeah. And be aware of what's it like on the inside and the outside of your thigh and on your knee. If it's sore on your knee, you can always just have the hands here underneath the lower leg. And then slowly lower the chest, neck and head and release that leg, stretch out through both legs. Again, bringing your awareness to your hips. How do they feel one side compared to the other? And when you're ready, you can bend both knees, bring your left knee in over the tummy, take hold of the left knee, draw it close to the belly like you're giving it a hug and stretch out through the right leg. Toes of both feet up to the ceiling if that is comfortable for you. It can be a preference. And then as you breathe out, draw the navel back or engage your lower tummy muscles, I should say, and lift the chest. Have the hands light. They're there, but they're not like gripping and your shoulders don't feel. So for some people it may not be appropriate to lift the chest, neck and head because it brings excessive tension into the shoulders. And maybe sometimes you like to vary your feet. But you're here and you're breathing. And then inhale, lower down, and as you breathe out, stretch out through both legs. Again, awareness to the legs, awareness to the feet. How do they feel after this on both sides? And slide the heels in, bring the knees in over the tummy, bring both of them in. It's like you're giving them a big, big hug. And maybe or maybe not, you might choose to lift your chest, neck and head and draw those knees close. Shoulders are still kind of easy. You know, the hands are there, but they're not gripping for dear life. And then lower the chest, neck and head. Cup the hands around the knees and just big circles with those knees. And then change the direction. A few times in the other direction. And then place the soles of the feet on the ground and bring the arms a little bit away from the body with the palms up. Your knees are hip width apart now. We're just going to, like the windshield wiper hip movement rather than a full spine. So you're just letting the knees go to the right. They may not go all the way to the ground, that's fine. And then as you breathe in, come back to center. When you're ready to breathe out, allow the knees to go in the direction of the left. And then breathe in, come back to center. When you're ready to breathe out, allow the knees to fall to the right, excuse me. So you're kind of working like this, feeling into it, feeling what's right for your body, gradually letting maybe the knees might go a little lower without flopping them. You're kind of controlling the movement as you breathe out. So it's not like just flip-flop. It's done with attention to the range of motion and what happens along that range. And the next time the knees fall to the right, just leaving them wherever there is. Now if you need a support at this stage, you could have something underneath that knee or whatever, work to what's right for you. And now you're going to let them find a little bit of ease in the posture. As I say, for some people that might mean having a support under either this knee or that knee. So adjust if needs be. And then inhale, come back to center, and as you breathe out, you go the other way. And again, it might be completely different on this side. Maybe one leg is tighter than the other. Maybe one leg prefers an internal rotation rather than an external. So you're feeling into that. And then inhale, come back to center. And keeping the knees hip width apart, you bring the arms down alongside the body. Sometimes actually for this first bit we can place the hands on your bony hips, there, your ASIS bones. And we're just going to do a little bit of pelvic tilt. So while you have your hands there in the front of the hips, if that's what's required for you, bring your awareness to your coccyx, the very bottom of your spine, or your tailbone as it's called as well. And you're just going to bring your tail a little bit towards the ground. So your tail is you're tilting it a little bit towards the floor. And as you do so, the ASIS bones come forward. Your buttocks are still on the ground, and there's a little bit of space perhaps behind your waist. And then as you breathe out, you allow the coccyx to kind of wave up at the sky as your ASIS, your frontal hip bones go back, and you've no space behind your waist. And you might feel an engagement of your deep abdominal muscles. So you're going back and forth like that, just really easy. Not trying to get to the end point or maximum. Actually, nearly I'd say hold off from getting to the maximum. Just feel what it's like to make the transition from where your tailbone goes to the ground and your hips come forward. And then when your hips go back and your tailbone waves up at the sky. So you could be aware of the movement along the length of the spine that's moving, or you could be aware of how your abdominal muscles and your deep abdominal muscles, not the surface ones so much, kind of behave as you do this. And you're just kind of aware of everything that's going on. And even your legs are light, they're there just holding the position steady, but they're light. There's not a huge amount of weight into them or anything. And you're forward and back like that a few more times. And then just come into somewhere in between. So you're not tilting the tail one way or the other. You're just resting as if you just lay down here and bend your both knees. Okay. And we're going to begin now to go into a nice bridge pose with a slight, first of all you lift your tail, then you lift your buttocks. Just a slight bit of lift of the tail and you lift the buttocks. As you breathe out, lower and back down. Okay, and we're just going to repeat that a few times. So you're just lifting the tail. So begin with the tail waving to the ceiling a little bit, and then the buttocks come up. And you feel into it, what feels right for you. So you're just coming up. And as you lift the tail and you lift the buttocks, maybe you're more aware of your feet, and you keep them toes down and the heels down. So then give you good support. You're just reiterating your thighs are hip width apart, so and they're parallel to one another. Your toes are down and they're active. Maybe gradually you'll start to come up a little bit more, so maybe it'll be the tailbone, the buttocks, and the area behind the navel, your waist area. And it can if you haven't done this in a while, it can take a while to reacquaint yourself with the geography of your spine. So just ease into it. Again, we're not trying to get to end points here. We're looking at the journey up and down. Are you fully aware of what's happening at each point in the movement? Without getting too prescriptive about it, it's just you're witnessing it. And the next time you come up, maybe come up a little bit further. Come up into the lower rib cage, maybe. Keeping those toes down and the heels down. And then as you breathe out, lowering down. And again, maybe you might want to change the position of your feet. Be aware of that. Keep them hip width apart though. Lift the tail, lift the buttocks, lift the waist, and lift in the chest. And you might find a point that you feel, oh, this is nice, and I want to stay in it a little bit. So when you find that point, maybe the next time you come up, you just find the position where you feel kind of comfortable in it. There's no part of your back that feels overworked or too stressed. And breathe there for a few moments. Being aware of that lovely extension of the front of your hips, your thighs. And breathe. And be aware that there's no tension in the neck or excessive tension. It shouldn't feel uncomfortable in any position. So find the point that you can just be in for a few moments. And breathe. And then inhale, and can you come up just a little bit more? And then as you breathe out slowly, like you're kind of laying out a string of pearls, you slowly bring your spine down, kind of with ease and loving and being gentle on it. And when you get all the way down, you can stretch out through both legs. And just be aware of the effect. For many people, the bridge pose can be kind of energizing, but you know what it's like for you. Okay. And then we're going to slide those heels in again and bring the knees in over the tummy. So we've gone from where we're working and contracting the back muscles to flexion now, where you get nice. So you just ease those feet in for a moment. You can leave the hands wherever is comfortable for you. Just bring your attention down to your feet, and we're going to begin by circling the feet. So you're just circling the feet, and we're just getting them ready for in a little while. They often get ignored, so you're just circling at the ankles. So it's not the whole of the lower leg that's moving, just the ankle. There clearly is some movement within the leg, but the leg itself isn't moving. You put the hands at the front of the shins and you see the relationship and feel into it, down into the feet and the toes, and then circle on the other way. And maybe then you could, as you're doing this, bend your elbows and make just gentle, soft fists with your hands and begin, because you can I do it. I can't even talk. Circle the ankles and the wrists at the same time. If you really want to challenge yourself mentally, you could have different directions going on. Okay, and then change the direction again. And then just letting them rest. And while you're here with your elbows resting on the ground, stretch the fingers up and make fists, and do that a few times. So you're kind of completely relaxed, knees are in over the tummy. You adjust if you need to. And just waking up the lower arms, stretching those fingers out and then making fists. Be aware as your shoulders are completely relaxed here, your elbows are on the ground, but you may feel this activity all the way up and into the shoulders, but you're trying to let the shoulders be as effortless as possible. It's just the fingers that are moving. There'll be a little bit of movement in the hands, the lower arms, just like when we were doing that earlier. And then we're going to add the toes into it as well. So you're doing the same thing with your toes, bending the toes and stretching the toes. And just do it a few times. If you need to take a rest, do. I have to rest my hands for a minute, but I'm going to keep going with the toes. And then I'm going to slow down the toes. So you really, make a fist with the toes, or bend the toes, and then stretch the toes. And then place the soles of the feet on the ground. Bring the arms a little bit away from the body. The knees are together now and the heels are together. As you breathe out, allow your knees to fall to the right and turn your neck and head to the left. And just rest there for a moment. See what that's like. Breathe in it. And breathe in, come back to center. And as you breathe out, allowing the knees to fall to the left, turning the neck and head to the right. Breathing out, and the hand can be below shoulder level. rather than, sometimes with this camera, I notice that it looks like my hand is above shoulder level. It isn't. And then breathe in, come back to center. And then roll over onto your right side. And put your left hand there. So keeping the head down can be a nice way to come up, to push up then. And we're come up to an all fours position. Okay. But we're changing it slightly, all fours, but we're going to be on our forearms. Okay. So when you're in this position on forearms, and it just gives a little, it changes the orientation slightly, but you'll find you don't want to create strain in your neck. So you don't want to be looking forward. Well, you maybe want to be, but please don't be looking forward, because you can see you're shortening the neck muscles there. So just kind of keep your gaze where it falls. So for me, it's just kind of around wrist level on the ground. Okay, and then we're just going to do what we often do on forearm, or on when we're up in the hands, and we're just going to begin to circle. So keeping the elbows where they are, keeping the hands where they are. We're just bringing the tailbone over to in the direction of the left, heel then the right, and we're just circling like that. And you're noticing what happens even in the forearms and the elbows, and you're noticing the way your weight shifts as you do this. And then you can change direction. You can really slow this down to be with your breath. Half of the circle an inhalation and half of the circle an exhalation, if that's something that you'd like to do. And you're aware while you're doing this of that feeling through your shoulders, your forearms, your fingertips, as well as the back. And one a few more times the other way. So you're not over pushing the chest, thrusting the chest down toward the ground or toward the back heels. It's just a gentle movement. You're kind of keeping a long spine as far as possible. And then just coming back to being in the start of the position. Again, the head is looking down, and we'll just walk forward a little bit. Knees are hip width apart now, and now you're going to extend as you breathe out, so take a breath in, as you breathe out, so extend that right leg back, so you're just sliding it out on your mat. And when you do that, sometimes the weight shifts over to the left, so just be mindful that you're trying to still keep the weight evenly across the right side and the left side of the body. And bend that knee again, and bring it in under the hip. I'm going to do the same thing on the left. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, extend that left leg back. Again, the weight might want to shift completely to the right leg because it's standing. So you're trying to even it up. So if it's done that, you're coming back and you're evening it up. And then you bend that knee again. And we're going to do the same thing on the right side this time. Take a breath in as you breathe out. Extend out to the right leg, but not letting the weight shift over to the left so much. So you're keeping the work on both sides, or the weight on both sides. When you have it extended, can you lift that right leg, still keeping the weight, evenly between the right and the left side, and have it at hip level, and breathe. And then lower that leg and bring it back. So attention again, not to, as you breathe out, this time you're extending the left leg, but you're not shifting all your weight over onto the right leg. So if you're doing that, trying to compensate, so it's stretching back. Toes on the ground, but you don't feel like you've shifted all your weight to the right side. And then lift that left leg and breathe. And watch the neck, that it's not tense. And you don't want, and just, you're kind of conscious that you haven't kind of twisted in the pelvis. So the two hips are still pointing to the ground. And then lower that leg. And then we're going to come from there to, we're going to stay here. And you have your two hands on the ground like that. And in a moment you're going to lift your right elbow off the ground, the hand stays on the ground.
and you turn your head to look at your right shoulder. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, lift the right elbow, look to the right shoulder, and then lower that arm. And as you breathe out, lift the left elbow and turn the head to the left shoulder and lower. And we're going to do that maybe 5 times on each side. Breathing out, looking to the right. You determine it with your breath length. Looking to the left. As you breathe out, you're turning. Maybe do it one more time side to side. Breathing in, coming back to center, going to the left. And then resting there for a moment. And then we're going to lift the actual right hand now and the elbow as if we're handing something to somebody that's standing up beside us. And you'll turn the head if that's comfortable for you. So as you breathe out, lifting the right hand. And then coming back down as you breathe in. And then to the other side as you breathe out. Lifting the left hand. The elbow can be bent or whatever is right for you. Don't push too far. Feel into it. You may not have done this before. Breathing out, turn to the right. And then to the left. And then to the right. You're not falling over to the left side. It's quite controlled. And then to the left. The last time from side to side as you breathe out, lifting the right hand, turning the head. And then just from there, either just let your head hang or create 2 fists and let your forehead rest on the fists, or bring the sit bones back to the heels, whichever you prefer. Breathe for a few moments, or bring the hands down alongside the arm or the legs, and breathe and let the whole of the body, whichever position you're in, find as much ease as you can in that position, just like that. And then come back up onto table position. Hands are shoulder width apart, knees are shoulder width or hip width apart. And you're going to again do what we did earlier with that leg. You're going to extend that right leg back. You're trying not to let the weight shift completely over onto the left side. So you have a sense that nearly like there's a phantom limb here holding there, but it's actually your reflexive core. And then can you bring your left hand out, and you get that sense of from the center of your body out through the left hand and the right foot you have stability. And you watch your standing elbow that it doesn't feel locked. So you're gripping into the hands are working, the fingertips are working. And then inhale, lift, and breathe in the posture. And then lower. And we're going to change that one more time. We're going to do the same side again, but this time we're going to lift on an exhale, just to get the feeling of what's right for you. You need to twinkle that wrist, or turn that wrist. Come back. We're going to go to the right side again. As you extend the right leg back, left hand forward. Inhale, and as you exhale, lift. And breathe. And the head is looking, you're not looking forward, you're not looking to the hand, you're looking down, but you're not letting the head drop either. And then slowly lower that hand and lower that leg. And then we're going to go to the other side. First of all, stretching the leg back, toes are down. And we're going to lift on an inhale, just to get a feeling for what that's like. You may be not able to perceive any difference for yourself. So we'll do it as a trial, not be completely prescriptive. Take a breath, Stretch the leg back. Again, you're trying not to get the weight shifting completely to the left. Then you stretch your right hand out. And then you lift and breathe. And then slowly lower that down. Okay, and then you're going to come from there to come up onto your knees. So if you need to have a support for your knees, like something thick underneath your knees, do that if you find that they're delicate. Okay. Your knees are hip width apart, your feet are hip width apart. Okay. Just spend a moment feeling what it's like to be standing on your knees. I'm just going to roll the shoulders a few times while we're here. Bringing the shoulders up to the ears and back and down. Shoulders up to the ears and back and down. Oh, it's lovely. Jaws relaxed, faces relaxed, and then go in the opposite direction. Okay, so I'll face this direction. You're going to step your right foot forward. If you need to have padding under the back leg, do. The hip, the knee is going out straight out from the hip, and the knee then is above the ankle. So you're stepping it out. I'm going to go here now just so you can see what I mean. So you want your knee stacked above your ankle. Spread the toes, get a feeling for it. Find a bit of stability on it. Make sure you're comfortable on the back leg as well as in the front leg. Be aware of your pelvis. So sometimes, you'll see pictures and often in yoga we kind of stretch into the big bone. We're not going to do that today. We're just aware of the pelvis. So those bony bits that we talked about earlier, and then your pubic bone, and you're just kind of keeping that all on the one plane. And then you're aware of your sacrum at the back. So you're not tilting majorly into the pelvis. You're kind of in a neutral position, as if you were from, we'll say, standing. Okay, so we're not going to, and then your knee is stacked above your ankle. Okay, and then as you breathe in, can you let those hands float up overhead? So the palms are facing one another, and your elbows can be as soft as they need to be. Trying to bring, so if you found your shoulders are getting really tense, just even let the hands come up, let the thumbs spiral out a little bit, and bring them up like that, and let the elbows be soft. And you can stretch through those fingers and nearly pretend that you're holding something really delicate in between the fingers so it doesn't float away. The elbows can be as soft as they need to be based on how your shoulders are this morning, and breathe. And as you stay here just for a few more moments, can you find ease in the posture? Where's effortful? Where isn't? There's quite a lot of stability from the front leg without pushing into your, even though you may be more flexible to go forward a little bit more, the hips. Sometimes there's more effort and ability for building strength by just keeping the pelvis in that kind of neutral position. And then lower those arms. And let's turn toward you. Actually, we'll take it. We're going to step that right leg back. And then bring your left leg forward. Same idea as before. You find a position that your knee is stacked above your ankle. You're aware of the front of your hip bones. You're aware of your sacrum. You're kind of keeping a nice one plane there. So you feel the extension here, but it's not excessive. And you're possibly aware of a little bit of engagement in the abdominal area. And then as you breathe in, you're bringing those arms, letting them float up, or spiraling them out and bring them up this way, whichever is right for you. Elbows can be as soft as they need to be, so there's very little work going on in the shoulders. It's just you've moved the arms within their sockets, and you're breathing. You're
fingers are as if they're touching some light surface and they're just trying to stop it from floating away. And breathe. And we'll stay here for a few breaths, and you're aware of how this side feels compared to the other. Often there's differences. And you have the sense that if you had to stay here for a while, what effort do you need to make? What effort can you let go of? If there's a sense that your lower rib cage is jutting forward, can you allow it to relax? It's not thrusting forward. And then slowly lower those arms. How do the arms feel when you bring them down? And then stepping that leg back. Okay. I'll turn this way just for the next one. The same thing again. We're going to we'll just give you a moment to, as you've been on your knees for a while, come down onto all fours, curl the toes under, lift the knees, keeping them slightly bent, and then just stretch side to side a little bit. Bending one knee, stretching to the other. Bending one knee, stretching to the other. Just a couple of times, just to give a little bit of extension into the backs of the legs. And then through both legs. And then bend the knees. And we're coming back then to being in the upright position with the knees hip-width apart. You're bringing your right leg forward. You're again finding the same position as we were in a moment or two ago. And you're lovely and comfortable. Okay? From there then, you're letting the hands just hang. And then spiraling those fingers out. I'm going to actually have to move. Didn't think this through. Spiraling the fingers out, palms come up. They're facing up at the moment, and then you're going to turn them down. Okay. So you're stable here on the mat with your foot out in front. And then as you breathe out, turn your chest to the right, letting the hands kind of follow one after the other. And then turn your head to look out over your right fingers. And breathing in, come back to center. As you breathe out, turning the other way. Breathing in, come back to center. Breathing out, let your right hand go to the right as your left hand goes up to the sky, and you can turn your head to look up at that thumb if you can keep the balance. Breathe. Breathing in, come back to center. As you breathe out, go to the other side. You don't have to touch the ground, it's just more one is extending down, one finger is just extending up. Breathe, watch what the knee does, keeping it steady above the ankle. And come back to center. Lower the arms. And then just shimmy that foot in or walk it in. It's a nice way to walk it in. Step the left foot forward. I'm kind of conscious as I look at my camera here that my legs look a little bit skew. I think it might be mightn't have it fully flattened. So my leg is straight forward from my hip, knees hip-width apart. Let the fingers spiral up. Turn the palms down. Turn your chest to the left. And the gaze is out over the left. Come back to center. Turn to the right. Hands kind of stay where they are. Watch the knee doesn't want to follow you. Breathing in, come back to center. As you breathe out, allow the left hand to go to the toward the ground, or in the direction of the ground. Right hand up into the air. Then you can turn your head to look up. Breathe. Breathing in, come back to center. As you breathe out, the right hand goes, left hand up to the sky, turn the head to look up, breathe. Breathing in, come back to center. Lower those arms. And shimmy that foot back. Step it on. Okay, and then come from there to lie down onto your tummies and have the arms down alongside the body with the palms facing up and the forehead is on the ground. And just let yourself find a bit of ease in this pose now. Stretch back through those legs, thanking the knees for the job they've just done. Let the shoulders even just wiggle them a little bit to ease. And maybe then while you're here, just lifting those shoulders toward the ears and bringing them back and down and doing that a few times. So it's what we did earlier, but we're just doing them in a different orientation to gravity. Bring the shoulders up, bring them back and feel the shoulder blades gliding down their rib cage. And do that a couple of times. And when you, this next time you bring them back, get that sense of length right through your hands to your fingertips, and then just place the backs of the hands on the mat. And as you breathe in now, you're going to extend through that right leg as if it begins above your belly button. Imagine your lovely long leg, and it's kind of getting its length from there, and from that point all the way down the length, it's trying to just stretch another centimetre down through the toes, and as it does so, then to gradually float up off the ground. Knee is straight, hip is on the ground, and then slowly lower down, release that one down, and then bringing your awareness to your left side, and like that leg is starting above your navel, and if you can feel that it begins to lengthen down, it's like it's trying to creep down on your mat, get a little bit longer. And then it lifts. Front of the hip is on the mat. You're just giving yourself a bit more length. You feel the full extension from the belly all the way down through the leg, and lower that leg down. And repeat that again, side to side. Stretching through the right leg. Feel as if you're going to touch the wall behind you, letting it float up off the mat. And then releasing it back down. And when you're ready, the other side. And it lowers down. And then take a breath in, and as you breathe out, lift both legs. And lower them down. Then keep that sense of lovely long legs. Bring your awareness to your shoulders and your hands, and the fingers are all ready to begin to stretch back. And as you breathe in, you lift your chest. You lift the hands. You lift the arms. The head will lift a little bit as well, but you're not throwing the head back. So you're not looking forward so much as maybe, you're not looking forward to the wall opposite you, but you might be looking further up on your mat. And then as you breathe, come back down. Come up and down a few times like that. And lower. And then lifting one more time like that, lifting the chest, lifting the arms, lifting the hands. And lower, and your feet are down throughout this now. Next time you come up, you're going to lift everything. So just take a moment, turn your cheek to the side and breathe. And visualize what it'll be like for you to have all of your limbs lifted. Turn your cheek to the other side just for a moment. Just to ease out any well, it's just to not always habitually face one side or the other. Bring your head back to center. As you breathe in, extend through those legs as if you're just about to touch a golden wall, and then lift your chest. Let the fingers feel as if they're trying to stretch up to catch up with the legs, and breathe. Breathing in this lovely, lovely, lovely Salavasana.
breathing, breathing, breathing. Now scan your body when you're here. If there's any point that feels pinched, ease out of it a little bit. Maybe lower down a bit. Maybe find you need to change your shoulders. Do you need to, and you know, you can come down. And maybe lift again. And maybe you could lower one more time. And come up this time and hold it for a few breaths. Again, scanning your body, aware of what's happening. Your lovely extension to the front of the body, but the back of the body is working, but you want it all working like, you know, every little soldier along your back is working to its own level. There's no part overdoing it. And then slowly release down. And turn your head to the side again. Turn the big toes in toward each other, the heels out to the side. Close your eyes if you're comfortable to do so. Lift your head and turn your other cheek to the side. Just feeling what it's like on that side of your neck. Breathing here, allowing your breath to bring release or gentle movement. So you can breathe into your chest. You'll feel the movement across the shoulders into the rib cage. And you can breathe right down into your belly. And perhaps be aware of gentle movement in your pelvis or your lower back. But you can use your breath like a little internal massager. And then gently bring the head back to center. Bring your hands just below your shoulders. And you're going to push up into table. Knees are hip width apart, feet are hip width apart. And then we're going to, like we did earlier with our circles, but this time we're doing them on the arms. So as you breathe out, you're bringing your tail over to the left side and then swinging it around to the right and coming back. And as you're doing this, be really aware of how your center of gravity is shifting so your weight feels like it's in different spots. So really slowing it down now so that as you breathe out, you're in half of the circle, maybe going, and then as you breathe in, you're in the other half of the circle. Now obviously if your knee is sore, don't go back so far. Maybe move the hands forward a little bit so that you're changing the flexion at the knee. Really aware of your breath, coordinating it with the breath. Maybe 2 more times in this direction. And then change your direction whenever you're ready, and we're going to go the other way. Again, keeping the coordination with the breath. So for half of the circle, you're inhaling. And for half, you're exhaling. And you'll go around like this. Each person's breath is going to be different. So you're just going to keep going for a few times. If you need to do it on your forearms, if the hands get tired, do that. So your whole awareness is on the weight shifting. All of the coordination that's going on between your hands, your shoulders, your hips and your knees. And that sense of how the whole system is integrated. We're not compartmentalized in how we work. And then the next time that you come to table, just Rest in there for a minute. Come down onto the heels and rotate the wrists a couple of times. Come down onto the elbows, excuse me. I got too deep into my circles there. And then change the direction, going the other way. And then we're going to come back up. Okay, and from here we're going to have the knees hip width apart and curl the toes under. As you breathe out, just lift the knees. And then lower. And again, as you breathe out, you feel your tail scoop under a little bit as you lift your knees. And come back down. If you need to do this in the forearms, as I said, do. Lift the knees. This time, can you stretch those sit bones up a little bit? Keep the knees bent. Push through the hands so that you feel you have a lovely long right side, long left side. Knees are bent. And come back down. Take a rest if you need to. Or when you're ready to breathe out, lift the knees, bring the sit bones up, lovely long back, keep the knees bent. As you breathe in, bend the right knee a little bit more. As you breathe out, stretch through the left heel. Breathing in, bend the left. As you breathe out, stretch to the right. Breathing in, bend the right. As you breathe, stretch the left. So you're alternating it with your breath. And then the next time maybe you can stretch to both heels. Now your heels may not go to the ground, that's not the aim. You want to keep a nice long back. And sometimes even when you wiggle your fips like I'm doing here, you kind of feel that down to your ankles and up into your fingers. So be careful what's right for you. Couple of breaths here if you can manage it. And the head is hanging. And then inhale, bring the knees down, uncurl your toes. Walk the hands forward if you don't want to have deep flexion in your knees. Now at this stage, so you come to here, into kind of a baby dog. Or bring your sit bones back towards your heels. Ears in between your upper arms. Come up onto the fingertips if you like. It's just a nice way to get a sense of length, or at least that's how I feel it. You might be different, of course. Stretch through those fingers. The ears are in between your upper arms. You're aware of the fingertips on the ground, the thumb, the forefinger. All of those are kind of acting to keep you stable here. Breathe. Just another few moments of just getting that right side a little bit more stretched, the left side a little bit more stretched. With the sore in your shoulders, of course, in this instance, just shorten in the arms and just rest into the, or be in the puppy pose, you can do this as well. And then whenever you feel the need to bring your hands down so that they rest either side of your leg and rest your forehead on the ground. Or rest your hands like this and place your forehead on your fists. Or be forward like this. So find which one is right for you, just for a few moments. If you are forward in the where your hips are above your knees, just mindful that the chest doesn't dip and fall and create tension in the back. So you might have to, it's not quite as relaxing. Whichever position you're in, then bring the hands to the knees and push up. Sit your sit bones to the right. Bring your legs out in front. Place the hands behind you. Scoot your belly forward. Or I have to do that because I want to lie down now. So on the length of your mat. Bring the elbows down. Slide the feet in. Bring then the back slowly down. So you find in a position now that you're comfortable and you're maybe wiggling the shoulders a bit, letting the hands just float away. And for some people, if you find your chin is way up and you have tension here, sometimes the support is the appropriate thing because you want to be comfortable now for the next few moments.
So support under the head can be appropriate. But if you can manage it, if that's just done out of a habit and you can manage to put your head on the ground and it feels comfortable, maybe a little different but comfortable, try that. And for a few moments, just rest the knees in toward each other and have the heels wide and the toes are pointing in. So your heels are slightly wider than your knees. Your knees are falling into each other, so one supports the other. And your big toes are pointing into each other. And you can just place the hand on the abdomen and breathe. Can you let yourself just find ease in this pose? May not be one that you've done before, or maybe it's one that just feels really comfortable. But if you need to adjust, do. What if you can be here for a few moments? Just resting into it. Feeling your shoulders getting heavier on the ground. Watching your lower rib cage that it's not thrusting up to the ceiling, that it feels supported. Or even that moving it a little bit. And then just feel your whole self softening. Your breath kind of, just watch where it is, observe it. There's no right or wrong. Can you feel the back of your sacrum and hips just been a little heavier on the ground? What about the two femurs, the upper legs? How do they feel? Are they stacked? Sometimes when I put my legs like this, I don't know if many of you were at the bog, but we used to have to make groggies, and you'd stack one piece of turf against another, so slight diversion. The legs are kind of just talking to each other, the two knees, the two thighs. And just soften here for a few moments. Aware of the breath coming and going. Aware of your very center. You can locate that very center of yourself. And just feel like each in-breath is giving you everything that you need at this moment in time. And not worrying about any other moments, just this moment. And that sense that as you breathe out, that you're giving back to the world, to the universe, whatever way you like to see it, anything that you don't need at this moment in time. No big thoughts, just breath in, greeting it, aware that it's giving you everything you need, breath out. Everything's floating away that you don't need. You don't have to do anything except be here. And then you can remain here if you like, or indeed put on a recording of a Yoga Nidra. Or slowly to come up, you bring the knees together and roll over onto your right side. Have a lovely day or evening or whenever you're practicing this. Thank you very much.